Welcome to Lights On MOR. And today we have two authors of a recent paper. The paper is titled Instrumental Love, Political Marriage, and Family Firm Growth. And two of the authors, first author is FeiFei Liu. Do you want to say hi?
Hi, everyone. And thanks, Ray, for inviting us here today. Yeah.
You're very welcome. And the other author we have with us is Huang.
Hi, thank you for this interview opportunity.
Well, great. Well, let me just jump into it. You know, what led you to focus on political marriage and love? It's a very different topic. There must have been some story that led you to come up with this idea.
FeiFei?
Yes, actually, there are several reasons for that. The original idea of political marriage was inspired by my best friend's real stories. She is a second generation of a large family business in my hometown, and her marriage is a typical example of political marriage that we defined in our paper. She likes to share her family stories with me, such as how to develop a great relationship with her mother-in-law and how to maintain a romantic relationship with her husband. When two people marry, they unite not only themselves, but also two completely different families. So I feel it would be interesting to explore the resource exchange process between two families linked by the marriage. Besides, political marriage is more prevalent than I previously thought. I found so many real cases in my social circle.
So it was your personal experience that really brought up the idea.
Yes. Then I start to search literature, and I found that political marriage is a very interesting construct. And then I discussed with she, and he helped me a lot to finalize the concept of political marriage.
Yeah, and then you go into a lot of detail about the advantages of political marriages. We can all imagine what those are. Can you give some concrete examples of how that dynamic works out? How those advantages come to happen within these people's lives?
Yes, as you said, political marriage contributes to family firms in different ways. It can help family firms to access valuable information and scarce resources. For example, an interviewee in our qualitative study, he is a business owner of an electric mobile company. He stated that via the communications with the father of his daughter-in-law, he can obtain very useful political information faster than his other competitors. And this type of information can help him to make right decisions and also can help the company to gain the government contracts. He can better understand the government's real needs during the process of public bidding, which helps to improve companies' rate of success in making tenders. I think based on his description, different types of family activities, such as family dinners and family outings, all can provide good communication platforms for family business owners and government officials to exchange useful information.
For example, in Chinese local governments, they may develop various city plans and also infrastructure plans. If you can get access to some information about these plans, you can move ahead of the other competitors, developing your own strategy and accumulate resources. And so in the open biddings exercise, you can get more advantageous position compared to others. I think that's the basic advantage.
So Shu, what was your reaction when you first heard FeiFei bring that idea to talk with you?
Oh yeah, so I think at that time I clearly remember it was 2014 October when I attended a conference.
Really?
Yeah, when after attended a conference at at Shanghai Jiao Tong University. So I stayed in a hotel, and FeiFei came to me in the evening. We had a dinner, a very brief dinner in a lobby. And so we talk about, she started to talk about this idea. At that time, I wanted to work with her to collect another set of data for from family business. But then she talked about me about this political marriage. I found it so interesting. So then we start to think about this political marriage in Chinese history. So we started to think about the empire, the Chinese empire. They send their daughter to barbarian states and building political connections so that they can really make certain connections and avoid war or conflicts between countries. That happened quite a lot, I think, throughout human history, and quite a lot in Chinese history. So we thought about that. We thought that's so interesting that many of these daughters were used as, instead of sons, were used as these political connections for national stability. And then we also thought that at the beginning, we thought, oh, those poor ladies who were sent to the foreign states and the barbarian states, they must live a bad life. Then we start to think about romantic love. So we thought, no, what if they develop romantic love with the prince of those barbaric states? And that's how we came up with this idea, instrumental love. So then we started to develop this theory over the next few months, right? So this is how it happened.
Well, the idea it's fascinating to talk about romantic love, and how if I get it right, someone who has romantic love doesn't want their marriage to be perceived as instrumental, and so they'll cut off all the transmission of information and all those benefits to sort of prove their love. I mean, that's a fascinating thing to think about. What are some of the implications of that finding?
Personally, I prefer to look at the positive sides of this interesting finding. At least it demonstrates that true love does exist in this world, right? In our sample,
so there's hope.
yeah.
Okay.
In our sample, some offspring of family business married for their true love. That has nothing to do with their partner's family social status, power, fame, and money. To validate their role of romantic lovers, they don't want to take any advantages from their marital relationship. I can see the beauty of this kind of romantic relationship because everyone is dreaming of finding true love, right? But on the contrary, for those individuals married for strategic reasons, political marriage can help them to achieve valuable resources and also can help them to achieve their business goals.
So this is what I take from this study. At the beginning of our theorization, we planned for our study. At the time, we didn't have even measurement. We didn't have this risk design. We just thought about these theories. And intuitively, we thought, if my daughter truly falls in love with the son of a politician, that would really help our business, right? That's our intuitive sense. But then along the way, when we developed this idea, we thought then there's a paradox in such a relationship. Political marriage in nature is instrumental. Romance should not be instrumental. So how can we resolve this paradox? And that's why we introduce this self-verification theory, that people try to verify their own identity, who they are, by their actions. If they think they are really meant to helping the business, they have to, sacrifice their instrumental love, right? Their real love, romantic love, right? Yeah.
Well, I mean, in terms of the research, this is obviously delicate things to ask about. It's delicate to ask about, the political incentives, the political goals people have, and for relationships, and also delicate to ask, questions about true love. And so, how did you manage to? Did you have any specific problems asking those questions, or how did you deal with that challenge?
I do agree with you that political ties are very sensitive, and the information about the individuals involved in political marriage is often hidden in the society. That's why we use the snowball sampling in our study. Luckily, I was born in a business family, so my parents introduced many of their business friends to participate in our study. To be honest, I have asked all my relatives, friends, and colleagues and acquaintances to introduce me to family business owners they might know. With the help of acquaintance, I had a chance to form trusting connections with participants. In conversations with them, I become a friend of them. I also want to share one tip for sensitive interviewing. I think appropriate use of self-disclosure is very helpful. For example, I studied interviews with my personal stories, and I shared my feel about love to encourage participants to speak more about their experiences of love. Yeah.
I was trained as a psychologist, and I just came across the measurement of true love, because of this project, and we really look at those the literature, how psychologists try to measure, right, capture true love. That's a very difficult, scientifically, that's a very difficult task, right? And so we did a lot of search and to find the best instrument, but that's not enough. I think building that relationship with our, trust with the participant is important. Otherwise, they wouldn't, fill in the right, true information, authentic information. So I think this is how we have to do in the field if we want to uncover the true feelings of our participants.
So was it, I assume it would be hard, to say you love your spouse is easy, to say you don't love is hard. Maybe, the people who really didn't have strong love might be in the middle of the scale. And so your variance was sort of from middle to strong. How did that play out?
The instruments, the measurements are quite well designed. When you respond to those questions, you don't really feel you don't feel very strong, awkward, awkward feelings. You don't have this very awkward feelings like they have items like I cannot stop thinking about my husband, wife. If my husband or wife get hurt, I'm really worried. Things like so. Those are not really, whether you really love your husband or your wife, whether your love is authentic or not. They don't have those kind of embarrassing or too obvious questions.
There was an example, and the business owner said because his son got married just for pure love. That's when he asked help from when he asked his son to get help from his father-in-law, he refused because he said, "I don't want to ruin my relationship with my wife."
What do you see as next steps for research that either you're doing or other people are doing to, based on what you've done so far?
We have actually in the data and also in our early stage of the research, in the early stage of this research, we came up with more ideas. And actually, the data supported our early idea. We came up with this idea from evolutionary psychology. Evolution theory basically says that females in ancient time are important resources so for reproduction resources. So I think anthropologists, when they studied Asian tribes, they found that if there's any war between two tribes, the best strategy is I kill older men and take older women. All right, so that's why sending daughter out to get married is more valuable than sending son out, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make a firm connection with the politician or the enemy state. We made that hypothesis and we found the results in our data.
And this is looking at ancient.
No, using our data, even now. We developed this idea by observing the Asian states, their behavior, but we found the same thing in our data. And we predicted that. So I think that's why we thought that in the future, if there's any opportunity, we may extend this type of research to looking at the gender issue in terms of political marriage. Even we can get data from our current data and also from Asian data, and to explore more of this kind of consequences of marriage. Right.
Congratulations on this really fantastic paper. And so I'd like to thank FeiFei and Shu for their interview and their contributions to MOR. Thanks so much for this interview.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ray.